So we're back. Sorry about that. Had a hiccup with the with my with my power. It like went out for a moment. So we're back. This will be just a continuation of the previous stream, so no worries there. So once again, everyone, welcome back to the stream. If you're returning, and this is Vixen that's here with me. So to continue where I left off before the power flickered and we had an electrical glitch that happened. So Naruto's a very weak character outside of really anything that isn't combat. So to kind of expand our view of other characters, a character I'm going to put in a very low tier is the main character from One Piece. I am sorry, but when your entire power is due to the fact that you ate some really weird fruit and now all of a sudden you're Elastigirl. What? Someone explain this one to me. What?
Oh my god, freaking Ink said you are not the person to be making those judgments.
Oh my god, where did he say this? Hold on.
The Adventures of Subra.
He needs the back.
When you pinged at here, he said you are not the person to be making those judgments. I'm not sure if he's saying it seriously or jokingly. I'm not sure if he's saying this seriously. I really don't know.
Anyways, so it's like, when your entire power revolves around essentially being stretchy, it's like, what? What is the potential for this kind of power? Let me know. Seriously, somebody explain that one to me. When you're essentially you ate some weird fruit, and that's how you got your power? Meh. Don't get me wrong, it's better than what we've seen in the past, but what? I don't get it. And they spend the entirety of the show looking for this treasure. Did they ever find it? I'm seriously, did they ever find it? I need to know that because, huh? Their entire thing is that they're pirates looking for this dead pirate's treasure? Okay. You've seen some weird concepts before, but that's one of the weirder ones I've seen. Now, moving on, let's go into the gaming world. Dante from Devil May Cry. Dante from Devil May Cry is a character I'd put into medium. Here's why. He is strong. One, his powers are very much supernatural, but he is still mortal. He can die. He's half human. We're not going to even touch DMC Devil May Cry. I am not going with that. So, Devil May Cry Dante, not DMC Devil May Cry Dante. Ugh, almost put a bit in my mouth. He gains a lot of his power, not just from his own strength, his own demonhood. He gets some of his strength partially from his own weapons. Think about this. A lot of Dante's really cool abilities is based on his weapons and based on how he uses them. Like, seriously, Rebellion is, well, it's a stock standard weapon, but it's got a really cool devil trigger. Let's not lie. Let's not kid ourselves. Rebellion is pretty cool. And the fact that the Rebellion is also used in the end to awaken his true demon self. That's a pretty cool sword, not gonna lie. one of the best concepts of an heirloom weapon out there, in my personal opinion. And then we've got all the other weapons from the various different games. We've got basically the melee fist and feet kind of weapon. They're pretty darn cool and fairly powerful in close quarters. We have Artemis reappearing in multiple times throughout the games. Not a bad weapon. Its very concept is pretty interesting, but it can be kind of finicky to utilize. And then, okay, anyone that's seen Ruby and seen Coco and her briefcase, suitcase, kind of, her purse Gatling gun, okay? Dante can top it. In Devil May Cry 4, there is a weapon that is really fun to utilize if you manage to pull it off. I forgot its name for the life of me, but it can be a Gatling gun. It can be essentially basically a hovering rocket platform that just fires a whole crap ton of rockets out of the enemy. And it has a ultimate move that literally just nukes an area in front of it. That's a pretty damn cool weapon. And let's not even get into the idea of Demon Blade Sparta. Demon Blade Sparta is a very powerful weapon in of itself, although it doesn't seem like that, does it? It doesn't seem like a very powerful weapon compared to all the other weapons out there. However, you must also remember, Demon Blade Sparta was a very blade used by Dante and Virgil's father to essentially save humanity from the demons of hell. Lore-wise, Demon Blade Sparta is a very powerful weapon if that's the blade that was used by their father. That's actually nothing to nothing to scoff at. I'm pretty sure if it was used by their father, it would be one of the more powerful weapons out there. Yeah, make sure. And then there's Dante. I'm putting in the medium category because unlike Naruto, his skill and power level ceiling ends up being more down to how much power, in the weapons he utilizes, rather than down to necessarily his own limitations. His own limitations do take into account, but you also got to remember his use of various demon weapons makes him powerful in his own right. And that's nothing to scoff at. He has used multiple weapons throughout the series to great effect. And continuing with the gaming theme, by the way, Vic, we have, I'm having trouble counting Pokemon into this. I really am. Because there's so many Pokemon to utilize. We also got to take into account each of them have their own strengths and weaknesses. However, I will be picking one of the most common Pokemon out there, Pikachu.
Okay, if we take Pokemon in consideration lore-wise, they're just fucking overpowered as fuck.
Yes, they are. This is why I'm discounting a lot of the legendaries. Mewtwo, for example. Let's not even get into that mofo. However, I will be counting one Pokemon because it is the mainstay of the entire series. Pikachu. Pikachu is an oddball of these characters. I'm willing to put him into the low power category, but with potential. You also... Now, again, just because I put the characters into the lower categories does not necessarily mean that they are weak. We must remember that these characters are still strong, They're just weaker compared to the other people in this in these ratings. Okay. So Pikachu, he is powerful in his own right. He is more than capable of shocking a lot. He's fried bikes on multiple occasions. Let's not forget this. Pikachu has blown the tops off of many a gym. You know, he's very much a very powerful Pokemon and often is underestimated by a considerable degree. We gotta remember that lore-wise, as far as the anime lore is concerned, Pikachu is a oddball out of all the Pikachus. Pikachu seems to have an abnormally high level of electrical capabilities. This has proven true on multiple occasions where actually Team Rocket has actually gotten themselves zapped on purpose to actually identify if it was Pikachu. Like, their Pikachu, the one they're trying to steal. It's like, they've actually been zapped by another Pikachu that they thought might have been Ash's Pikachu, and they're like, that's not the same shock. Like, they could tell. When you have gotten so used to being shocked by one Pokemon that you can tell that it's not the right one when the zap isn't the same. I am sorry, but that's hilarious. But it also seems that Pikachu's weak in the sense physically. Pikachu's not the most powerful Pokemon out there, and this is emphasized a lot. But there's no doubting Pikachu's strength. His endurance is willing to go the distance. Pikachu has done so many feats that would make a lot of Pokemon ashamed. Let's not kid ourselves. Pikachu has gone well and truly beyond so much of what a normal Pikachu can do.
Holy shit.
What?
Okay, so I'm playing Pencil Girls, and I just got a precious rarity item called the Autoloader.
Oh, Lord.
5-star item. Holy shit.
Yeah. Autoloaders are scary in tanks. Also, we also got...
Especially with pink girls.
Mm-hmm. Is now running away. Anyways, so Pikachu has done quite a lot to prove that he can go the distance. I mean, let's be real. Pikachu has managed to actually make ground types feel pain. Mind you, under very special circumstances. On some occasions, they actually had to get them wet first. But when Pikachu has zapped a ground type to the point where it can actually feel the pain from the electrical shock, that's actually incredible feat. Remember, ground types are not supposed to be affected by electric attacks at all. So, Pikachu rendering, basically able to shock a ground type into submission with, basically being smart with how it does it, is actually a good, incredible feat. But Pikachu being a Pikachu, as it is, kind of lowers him into lower categories because Pikachu can easily be dealt with by multiple characters in this ratings. But I would be remiss if I didn't include him. But once again, please, guys, don't get butthurt over these. These are my personal opinions, and trust me, I love Pikachu to death. If it wasn't for the other characters and items in these categories, I wouldn't have put Pikachu so low on the tier level. If we're counting Pokemon, then he would be a little bit higher up. But there are a lot of other things in these ratings that are gonna basically be able to knock Pikachu in the next week. Now, speaking of items, we're starting to get into the good stuff here. The Saiga from the Inuyasha series. I would put it into the higher tiers. Now, some might immediately say, okay, this is personal bias. And it is partially true. There might be some personal bias here. But we must remember that the Saiga is a weapon that gets stronger the more powerful its opponent that it defeats. The Saiga's ability to, after defeating an opponent that's incredibly strong, and drink their blood in order to gain an ability from that creature, that's scary. Remember, in the Inuyasha series, this very idea was utilized to grant the Saiga the ability to break through barriers, to shoot massive spears of adamantium. I was about to say wanted to say adamant, and then my brain wanted to say adamantium, but adamant, aka diamond, that's nothing to scoff at, actually. That pierced straight through Naraku's barrier on multiple occasions. Because it's diamond. Next to nothing is going to be sharp enough to deal with that. In fact, the demon that was helping Inuyasha gain this ability tells Inuyasha if he had wanted his power for selfish reasons, he would not have been just cut up. He would have been dead. Basically, Inuyasha's own reasons for wanting the adamant barrage, aka diamond barrage, were... Hi, Tinkerbell. Sorry, my cat. In the background there. Were actually reasonable. He wanted it to... Not necessarily for speaking purely for revenge. That is a part of it. But he wasn't truly selfish for his reasons. Remember, the Saiga cannot activate its power without the desire to protect a mortal life. Without this feeling being felt when drawn, the blade is just a rusty old katana. Okay? Without that desire to protect a mortal life, aka a human life, the blade is useless in the hands of anyone else. It does require demonic power to be utilized. You know, you have to be a demon to use it, because without the demonic power flowing into it, it's, once again, just a rusty old blade. Meaning any human can pick it up, but it's not going to do much for him. However, it will reject any full demon that tries to pick it up. It is because Inuyasha's father placed a barrier on it. No, wait. I don't even think it was Inuyasha's father. Because Inuyasha's father's a full demon. Which means if he had placed the barrier on it himself, he wouldn't be able to use it. Meh? I don't think that was him. I'm thinking that's Totosai. On the request of Inuyasha's father. Because Inuyasha's father is smart. In fact, I have a personal feeling that Inuyasha's father had a massive insight into what later was coming. And here's I'm going to give like a little personal kind of opinions on this part too. So, Vic, you remember the first few episodes of Inuyasha?
Vaguely.
So, when Kagome is running away from Madame Centipede, and she's yelling out for someone to please come and help her, we hear a howl as the camera starts panning towards Inuyasha. My brain started wondering, why are we hearing a howl? It was definitely canine in origin, let's be real. It could have been a wolf, it could have been a dog. But why a howl? There's no one around to howl. Not even Inuyasha, he's basically in stasis. What I'm thinking is, that might have been the soul of Inuyasha's father. Because remember, Inuyasha's father seemed to have a great deal of insight into the events to come. He even seemingly has laid the groundwork for the events of Yashahime. Because he knew a certain thing would be returning, and he needs his descendants to actually be able to deal with it. Now, remember, this is kind of an iffy... I don't put too much stock in my own theory here, but it feels a little too convenient that not only would he have well, I mean, okay, let's be real, he expected Shishomaru to come after the Tetsaiga. He did. He full-heartedly did expect this. Because he purposely bequeathed the Tenseiga to Shishomaru. Oh, Shomaru was pissed when he heard this news. Oh, man. I gotta give it to the Great Dog Demon for that one. That must have ticked off Shomaru royally. But you gotta remember that he was dead when he gave these instructions. So I'm thinking Totosai put the barrier on the Tetseiga. He would have been in a great position to do so. He is the sword's bladesmith. So, but the crazy part is, if this was the case, and he put the barrier around it to specifically ward off full demons, why full demons in particular? He could have just maybe done it against Shishomaru, I'm thinking. But, to be fair, I think Yasha's father also knows the dangers the Tetsaiga can pose in the hands of a full demon. And so, Inuyasha's one of the few people that can lift it, let alone use it. I even think, even if a half-demon wanted to draw it, it might still be useless to them unless they're doing it to protect a mortal. Because remember, that's a big stipulation. Inuyasha couldn't use the damn thing prior to actually saying to Kagome, shut up and let me protect you. That's the only time that's the point where the Tetsaiga reacted to him, because now he has the desire to protect a mortal person. The Tetsaiga was designed to protect a mortal, specifically Inuyasha's mother. So, the feelings of wanting to protect mortals is the reason why the Tetsaiga reacts. In fact, continuing further with the Inuyasha items, the Inuyasha trilogy of items of the Great Dog Demon was continued a little bit with the Tetsaiga first. But the Tetsaiga's own abilities to essentially take the power of a more powerful demon and gain that power gives it a very deadly host of abilities. We're talking the ability to break barriers, which is scary in of itself against any demon that has the ability to put up a barrier. Adamant Barrage, which is literally sending spears of diamond out at the enemy. That's actually kind of scary, because there's very few demon hides that are going to stand up against that. And then there's... I forgot the name of this move. It's called the Dragon Scale Tetsaiga. Essentially, from what I recall, it's an ability that allows the Tetsaiga to steal the demonic power of a demon? I don't know. I'd have to look into it a bit more. I can't recall this ability too greatly, because it's not used as much. It proved to be often way more dangerous to Inuyasha as it did to its opponent. So, I'd have to look into it a bit more to remember exactly what it did. But then there's the coup de grace of its abilities. Medo Zengetsuwa. This ability makes the Tetsaiga one of the most scary weapons for any opponent. The Medo Zengetsuwa sends a rift to the netherworld at the opponent. Literally, you are sending a void, to the netherworld, to your body. This will suck in anything into the netherworld. Enemies, basically, once they're in the netherworld, they're gone. They're dead. Souls for the people that enter the netherworld, unless they have the ability to resist their souls being taken from them, they're dead. Someone like Goku, if hit with the Medo Zengetsuwa, would be sent to the netherworld and most likely die there because he has no way out. Unless you have a way out of the netherworld, the Meadow Zangetsuwa is a death sentence. Inuyasha and Sesshomaru only managed to leave the Netherworld by utilizing the Meadow Zangetsuwa. Meaning, they themselves are the only ones with a exit out. Now, the Meadow Zangetsuwa is pretty lethal in of itself, but we've yet to get into the trio of weapons. And yes, I said trio, not just duo, because there's one other than the Tenseiga and the Tenseiga. And speaking of the Tenseiga is an odd weapon. It's not a weapon to kill mortal lives. Essentially, it can't kill a living being. However, anything of the undead, or anything that is of the other world, aka heaven, hell, netherworld, it can kill them. It can basically render them, well, a dead entity, an undead entity, it can be rendered dead, once again. A dead person can be rendered alive again by slaying the messengers of the netherworld that would be there to take that person's soul to the netherworld. And anything of the other worlds is very much vulnerable to this blade. There are two guardians that guard the gates to the netherworld, and they basically felt no fear to any other entity that came to attack them to enter the netherworld, because you have to be dead to go through the gates. The second Sesshomaru draws the Tenseiga, they kneel before him and let him pass without him dying, because they know, should they be struck by that blade, they will be rendered as mortal as any other person in this world. That's a scary thought, when even entities that are essentially immortal because they're from the other world fear it. And then we get to the oh-so-juicy, no-so-evil weapon of the trio. I don't recall its name for the life of me. But whereas the Tenseiga represents heaven, the Tenseiga represents earth, this third sword, I think it's Yamega? I forgot the name of it. I'd have to look at it again. It is a blade of hell, and unlike the other two blades, it is not made from Inuyasha's father's own fang. It is made out of the bones of a demon from hell. This blade is one of pure, utter carnage and destruction. Foes slain by this blade can come back to life as hell-spawned zombie monstrosities that, if cut open, release a miasma, a very toxic gas that is lethal to really any living being. Demons are resistant to it, but most other entities are very, very much vulnerable. This blade has so many destructive capabilities that it's really dangerous. These three blades, this trio of blades, I put in the high category because their abilities, well, the Tenseiga I put in the medium, because the Tenseiga is a very specific weapon. It's a weapon more so used against entities of the other worlds, rather than ones of the mortal realm. It's more of a healing weapon than anything. So it's more of a medium level, power level weapon. But the other two weapons, the Tenseiga and the Blade of Hell, they're high category because just how dangerous they are. And the fact remains that they have so much destructive potential on their own. Combined, Tenseiga combined with Inuyasha, that's a very powerful weapon. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. There's another item for the Inuyasha series, the Shikon Jewel. This is a dodgy item to categorize. I'd say it's a more of a varying power level item, because its abilities are more, dependent on who uses it and what their wish is. The Shikon Jewel is more so bad 9 times out of 10, but can be good and at the 0.01% of the time that it's used. But it's a dodgy item to categorize, and I don't really have a category for it. I'm just gonna put it in a varying category here. Now, as for other characters from anime, movie, and gaming, and or items, let's talk Warhammer 40k. Warhammer 40k is a odd series to kind of categorize things. Let's go with the bolter. I'd say medium. The bolter is a really interesting weapon because it can have a variety of variants to it. But the stock standard bolter is a pretty scary weapon in its destructive capabilities. It is a machine gun that shoots rocket-propelled grenades. Think of Mark 19. Think the Mark 19 had a demon love child with an assault rifle and an RPG. There you go. That's the bolter. The demon love child of those 3 weapons. That's a scary prospect. The bolter has a variety of uses. It can destroy, humans, xenos, aka aliens, and demons alike with a great degree of success. Hence why it's so widely utilized by humanity as a go-to weapon, not only for their Astartes, but also for, as a heavy weapons, type weapon. The bolter just rips through enemies pretty dang well. I kind of will count the Astartes too. The Astartes are an odd category. I'd say medium to maybe high, depending on the chapter and or legion. Not even counting the Primaris here. I'm gonna ignore the Primaris like the plague. There's not much I can say with these categories because the Astartes are an odd case because there's so many different types of them. There's so many different chapters. Their power can vary greatly just because of how many variants there are of them. And I felt like I've wasted enough of y'all's time, so I'm going to end the stream here. This is just me giving my 2 cents. But I've been Fearing Warriors, along with Vixen here. I don't know if she's still here or not. You there, Vic? Victoria! I'm pretty sure... Oh, there she is. Just ending the stream here. Can barely hear you. Anyways,